So would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm Kate Wallace. I studied BASc, of course. I graduated in 2016 and I majored in societies and minored in health and environment.
And what did you go on to do after that, after you graduated?
So immediately after graduating, I went and worked for Shelter, the housing and homelessness charity, as a political lobbyist, essentially. We call it public affairs, but a lobbyist. So meeting with MPs and lords, trying to persuade them to agree with us about housing policy. I worked on some campaigns around building more homes and improving the private rented sector.
And is there anything that particularly that you did on BASc that you think helped you with what you had to do on that job, with your lobbying or any of those?
Definitely. I think the best thing I got out of BASc was the ability to just pick new things up very quickly. So, of course, when you're studying BASc and you're the only person on an archaeology module that's never done archaeology before and you have no idea what the Paleolithic is or whatever, the ability to very quickly pick up new language, new ideas, and a new way of thinking and working was really important for my job and still is now. And that's probably the best thing I gained out of it. I never knew I was going to work in housing. I knew nothing about housing before I started, or about public affairs. So the ability to pick stuff up very quickly was key.
So what's next for you? Are you carrying on? Are you still at Shelter, or are you doing anything?
Yeah, so I just got a new job, started 4 weeks ago. I actually moved to work for Homes England, which is an arm's length agency of the civil service. So I'm not a civil servant, but I do work kind of for the government. And Homes England is in charge of kind of delivery of building more homes. So when the government makes a big announcement, like we're putting £9 billion into the affordable housing programme, we're the ones that administer that, spend it, decide who's going to get some of it, how much they'll get. And I'm working in a policy-based role there, so 2 years of kind of moving between different departments, helping with delivery and policy and big projects. It's exciting.
You're enjoying it, are you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm only 4 weeks in, but everybody's been incredibly lovely, something that's true of BASc as well. And I'm already working on some really exciting stuff. I've gone from kind of being on the outside of housing and campaigning to make a change to knowing things that, I wish I'd have known a year ago as I was waiting for announcements to be made. It's very exciting.
So what advice might you give to, say, someone who's watching this video now and say is about to come to start BASc? Having been through it yourself, what might you advise them or say to them?
I think I'd say grab everything with two hands. So the opportunity to do loads and loads of different subjects, take that up. Don't kind of think, oh, well, all of these ones, they might be in different departments, but they're kind of similar, so I'll be able to, bridge things between them. Actually pick incredibly different things, and you'll find yourself referencing your biology module in your history essay, and it will make sense. So definitely pick a really wide range of things. And then two probably more kind of pastorally ones. I'd say if you can, get a bike and cycle around London. It's the cheapest way to do it, and you get to see the city. I wish I'd done that sooner. And definitely call your mum or your dad more often than I did in my first year. That's one of my big takeaways from university.
Yes. Why did they always want to know a bit more about what you were doing?
Yeah, they were always really interested in what I wanted to do, and it turned out in my final year that my mum was actually incredibly helpful with proofreading my essays.
Yes.
And also just moving to university is an insane experience. Moving to university in London is a crazy experience. And BASc as well is so different from any other degree. And you're so, you're not really, you are a cohort because you guys work really hard to make sure that we are, but you could be the only BASc person on a module, and it can be very overwhelming. And that's what, friends and family are there for.
And when you say it's a crazy or insane experience, how do you mean exactly that? Just to elaborate a bit more.
I think because BASc is so varied and you can study so many different things, and everybody does, everybody on the course is really, really interesting. Everybody's doing incredibly different things in incredibly imaginative ways. Every time you come into the common room, someone's built a house, or they've, you've got a cow, or something's kind of constantly changing, and it's really good.
So did you feel sort of quite confident, would you say, at the, you know, when you first went into shelter, you know, from coming from a degree like BASc, would you say you started your job there with confidence, or would you say that's something that's built up since?
I think as much confidence as you can have starting any new job. Having gone from a job to another job, I think you always feel a bit terrified. At least I hope it's not just me. But I did feel ready. I think that was also supported by the fact that I worked whilst I studied. So I did have a bit of an experience of the office environment and that kind of thing. But I definitely felt by the end of BASc very ready to go on to work. The modules that we did around the knowledge economy, as much as I may or may not have enjoyed it at the time, it was really, really useful. And also the UCL Careers Hub are incredible at helping you prepare. That is, again, another piece of advice. Use them, because no one seems to, and they're wonderful. And so I did feel ready. Whether I felt confident is different, but I felt ready.
But if I'd said to you in the first year, oh, you're going to be working for the government in a housing department or a housing organisation, how would you have reacted?
I don't know. I think I would have been less surprised to hear that I was a civil servant than perhaps to hear that I went into shelter and worked in lobbying, in part because I didn't even know that was a thing until my final year. Well, until I basically applied for the job, I didn't really know that public affairs was even a thing. To know that I was working in housing, I would be completely surprised. I think pleased. Now I do it. I know it's really interesting and really important, but I definitely wouldn't have predicted that I was working.
Did you say? Well, that's all very interesting, and thank you very much.
You're welcome.